has changed our game.
It makes you want to sing.
I have a sense of comfort when I put that mic in his hand.
The clarity and performance out of Nexadyne is immediately noticed upon plugging it in.
Oh my goodness, we're live. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Shure.com, to our creators channel. You may recognize my co-star, Mario Ponce. I'm Laura Davidson, but who you may not recognize, who was also in that video just a second ago, is John Bourne. Everybody, virtually say hi.
Yeah.
Say hi to John. I know, John. Welcome to the show. Welcome to our Shure live stream.
It's always so awkward to hear your voice from yourself back to yourself, but I accept.
It is. It is. I know. And he's joining us today live from Chicago. And so Mario's on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. That's the beauty of live streaming. But we're here to talk about the Nexadyne microphone, which is a brand new line of microphones for us. And we don't really launch new mics all that often, everybody. We've been around since 1925. If you're just joining and don't know who Shure is, we're based in Chicago, in Niles, technically. And just a week ago, we launched this beautiful new series of microphones called Nexadyne. And I brought John on here with us today because he was instrumental in creating this microphone along with a really cool engineer named Roger Grinup. So, John, tell us about how this came to be and why we decided to do this.
Nexadyne was a project born out of actually the KSM-8 development days, where we learned a lot about our origins of the Unveiling cartridge. And the Unveiling cartridge is in all of our, is DNA from that cartridge is in all of our dynamic products today. The Unveiling really set the stage back in the original 1939 implementation of that, which was the idea around using one cartridge to create a directional microphone instead of two. And back then, you had to use two individual microphones to create a pattern and combine them together. And the Unveiling, which incorporated the uniphase principle, which is the idea around, breaking an omnidirectional microphone and allowing sound to hit the backside of the diaphragm. Every dynamic mic today is based on that principle. So we kind of took that approach on Nexadyne and Ronic and said, what if we come back to that idea of combining two transducers together? What can we get out of that idea? And it definitely took it a lot further than the idea of the Unveiling original idea of the uniphase principle. So Ronic is the implementation of how far can we push dynamic microphone technology, being the leader in this space.
Yeah, and that you did. You pushed it real far because we already thought it was incredible to have something called the KSM-8, which John was also instrumental in bringing to the market, which has two diaphragms, but this one is totally different. I'm just going to bring up this cool graphic and you can kind of speak to it if you want about Ronic, because you said two motors, but for those who don't know what that means, tell us a little bit about what we're looking at here.
Yeah, so that's a great question. What benefit we want out of that combining. So Ronic technology uses two individual active microphone capsules that are combined electrically to do a significant portion of the handling noise and mechanical vibration, but they are combined kind of in a different way acoustically to add essentially better clarity on-axis response and better rejection off-axis response. So we're using both of those cartridges together to increase the rejection and give you a clear sound.
Nice. And Mario's actually talking in. So I forgot to mention we have a cardioid and a supercardioid. I'm talking in a supercardioid. Mario, why don't you give us a little taste of the cardioid?
So this is the cardioid, and
One thing I want to mention too is it was kind of the first time I heard that story, John, about the origins of this microphone. And I think it's incredible that we're taking some of the same concepts from back in 1939 with, two mic elements to make the one, and incorporating that into something brand new. It just speaks to our technology story, and it speaks to what you guys do. And you obviously do it very well. So just thought I'd throw that in there. And but also this is what the cardioid sounds like.
Yeah, and just in John's defense right now, he was trying to join with his professional audio setup because we work for an audio company, and the internet was just not having it. So please do not crucify us in the comments. He tried his best, and computer said no.
I tried my best. But my laptop failed me, so.
I know. It's very sad. It's very sad. But we were able to bring you the example of Nexadyne. And I did a live stream last Tuesday where I was talking through these microphones. The real shining point of this mic, though, is when you're using it in vocal performance, live vocal performance specifically. So, John, why don't you tell us a little bit about what the two motors are effectively doing? You kind of alluded to some handling noise and off-axis rejection, but what are those two motors allowing us to cancel out and highlight, bringing in the good and getting rid of the bad?
Yeah, and that's the idea of the two motors really gave the engineering team kind of a lot more levers to choose from in terms of the performance of the microphone design. And that's really, when you design a dynamic microphone, it truly is you versus physics equation, and it is a constant series of trade-offs. When you look at a single element, and you have a diaphragm, you have a coil, you have a magnet structure, you have a volume of air, you have resistance parts that create the pattern, and all of those things are interrelated in a single diaphragm microphone. So if you want a little bit brighter response, you might be taking a hit on a polar pattern in a certain range, or if you want a higher output, then you might need more volume of air. So it's a constant trade-off of when you design a dynamic mic, what are you managing those trade-offs against? With the Ronic engine, it gave the engineering team a lot more flexibility in not having so much interoperability and intertwined trade-offs with the acoustic design. So the second transducer electrically is doing the bulk of handling noise reduction. The first transducer and the second transducer are electrically identical, and they're wired out of phase. So positive pressure on one equals negative pressure on the other electrically from a mechanical standpoint, and they null the mechanical vibration. Acoustically, it's a totally different story. The top engine is doing most of the on-axis response and polar pattern control, but then we actually use part of the acoustic network of the second motor to affect the rear response of the polar patterns. So we can actually, by the presence of that second motor and the way we implement it into the first motor's design, we can actually have further rejection, specifically in the mid-band, from 200 hertz to 5K. And we can get more rejection,
Wow.
more rejection in the rear, more rejection on the sides, on the supercardioid. And that's a patented, granted technology that's been issued already from the patent office. So we're excited to finally use that design together and see where we can go in the future with it beyond just vocal mics.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
I was last week in Nashville, and we were at an event, and we had a guest come up and do a vocal sample of one of her songs through Nexadyne, because we were doing a live stream on, I think it was on TikTok, and it sounded so crazy good. It cut through so much, and it just carried on. The vocal just carried through more so than what I've heard from other performers that I've been with on a Shure mic, no matter what it was. It was pretty remarkable. So.
Yeah. And her reaction to it was remarkable, because she had never heard it before. So when she tried it, She was she knew she was trying something new, but even then she was like, whoa. It made her kind of stop, which is the feedback we've been hearing. People saying the singer says, "What is this?" And
Right.
that's really cool.
Yeah, and if she's
Yeah,
watching,
that
Drea, shout
yeah,
out to
that's been an
Drea.
awesome bonus star icing on the cake of already iced cakes of like the artist is having a reaction now to
Yeah,
what is put in front of them, and I think that level of clarity, and that's the word that keeps coming back, is just I sound like myself. I don't sound like myself through a microphone. I sound like myself,
right.
right?
Yes.
And
Yeah,
that transparency, that clarity combined with, and that clarity is, that word is not just on axis frequency response clarity, it's everything else in the environment that's creating undesired artifacts. The clarity of the isolation that you get due to the polar pattern, the clarity and lack of handling noise in the system, the clarity in the low end response specifically, just
Mm-hmm.
keeps coming back to like, I don't have to, the engineer's job is essentially done because it's coming
Right.
out of the microphone
yeah,
exactly how I want it. And that's been the biggest benefit, is just to get that level of clarity. And I think in a lot of previous products and competition is you spend a lot of time doing EQ and processing to get the voice out of the mic. And this is just presented front and center to you with minimal effort,
yeah,
Yes.
to the point where the
Absolutely.
artist notices it too. Yeah.
I know, which is something to
and
say,
yeah,
and I say this a lot. This is my personal crusade. Mario knows this already, but I'm a singer songwriter, and I get frustrated when I go out and I see other singers just showing up without a microphone to a gig, because it's your job to know what's going to best represent and enhance your instrument, because this is our extension of our instrument. So it's been really cool to try Nexadyne, because we've had our hands on it for quite a while, and play in all different kinds of venues and see what a difference it really makes. And I think John hit it on the head when he said it feels like you're singing, but it's your voice, the natural reproduction of your voice. And so that's been really nice to not have to fight or have to have anybody work too hard to EQ. And that's what we're hearing from monitor engineers and live sound engineers, that the in-ear experience is incredible, that front of house experience is incredible, because they're not having to work as hard to do any processing to get their vocalist out in front of the mix. So it's really cool. But singers should all have their own mic. It's the moral of that
right.
long-winded
It's
tale.
your
Go get your
instrument.
own mic. It is.
Yeah, and
It
I
is.
think that goes in the context of, I think we go to concerts now expecting to hear the record, right? We want to hear the vocalist as we know it through the millions of live streams, and through the millions of streams we have on our subscription service, right? Like, and I
Yes.
think that's that level of clarity and that level of intimacy in a performance is now really being desired by the audience, and it's really putting a pressure on that engineer's job to give that intimate artist to thousands of people at the same time in some cases, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Yeah.
finding the tools that allow you to have that connection with your artist is really important, because you're spending a lot of money going to a concert, right? And you want to
Mm-hmm.
hear them. You want to hear them clear, front and center. And I think this is just a great new tool in the engineer's kit to give that to them.
Yeah. Absolutely. So last week when I was doing my stream, I was asked to show the difference between some different mics, and the KSM-11 came up. So I did set it up today, and I wondered if we could kind of talk through some differences and what to expect, because this is our top of the line high performance mic. And actually, I'll bring this up so we can see kind of what we're talking about here in terms of what your pricing looks like for an Nexadyne microphone, so you know it's in a great price point. But there's also the ability to keep going up and to have something even better. So KSM-11 came out, I think, 2 years ago now,
Yeah.
and so I thought we could do a little A/B, and you could tell us maybe, John, some differences that people should hear, listen for.
Yeah, the first thing to note is that these are two different microphone types. So a KSM-11 is a
Yes.
condenser mic,
mm,
and Nexadyne is a dynamic microphone portfolio. So two different transducer principles that we're talking about. And I think a
Completely.
lot of
Yes.
people gravitate towards condenser microphones in live sound due to the detail and clarity that a condenser mic brings to the table. And that's in general generally the case. Condenser microphones are more sensitive. Condenser microphones have more top end and high frequency response capture. In a lot of cases, they have the ability to have lower bandwidth capture too,
Mm-hmm.
and they also have a polar pattern, just like a lot of all the other dynamic microphones do. So, um, so I think that's kind of what the KSM-11 is, our high end condenser performance product.
Right.
And it does bring extreme level of detail and nuance clarity in a condenser product.
Mm-hmm.
I think Nexadyne is interesting because the initial choice that someone might make to choose a condenser is for detail, and that they may have struggled with getting out of a dynamic mic in the past. And
Yes.
but with that, there's burdens of, all right, it is more sensitive, so it is likely more prone to feedback, and it is likely going to capture more of the environment because of that extra sensitivity.
Mm-hmm.
So what's special about Nexadyne, I think, is you do get a lot of benefits of a condenser clarity in that discussion that previously was maybe difficult to get out of a dynamic mic, specifically and clarity comes in a different couple forms. It comes in detail in the high end, but it also can come in clarity of the low mid or low end. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but you get it in a dynamic microphone package, which is probably going to be a little bit more safer in terms of feedback reduction and capturing environmental noise a little less than a condenser mic. So
Makes sense.
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah. So
it's another toolkit in your tool in your kit to choose from, and I think that's why we never really just say one microphone is for everyone. That's why we have
exactly.
6 or 7 different, a dozen different choices to choose from, because your voice, your artist, your environment, your material that you're singing all have a role in how you, even the way the microphone feels and looks is a decision in how and why you might choose a microphone in a specific way.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. So let me just do some switching here so that we can hear it. So right now you're hearing the KSM-11. But I'll switch over to Nexadyne and I'll sing something because it is a vocal mic, not a talk into mic specifically. All right, so this is Nexadyne, which I love the supercardioid pattern of this. Let's see. Well, we grew up wild and we grew up free. And now KSM-11. Now we grow together like a tall oak tree. No one could tell us what to do until you found me and I found you. All right, so different flavors, but not that far off, but just something that you can have in your arsenal, if you're looking for that performance of a dynamic microphone and that feedback rejection and off-axis response and, just having a little bit more SPL and, yeah, I don't know. I love them both, but somebody asked for that last week, so I thought I'd do it because I can.
Awesome.
You sound great on
great.
either one.
I know.
Yeah, thanks. I'll pay you guys later. No, but it's just super fun to do that. And we can also, while I'm here, we can also compare to a 58. It's 58 day tomorrow. And so you can hear the big difference between an SM58 and an Nexadyne and kind of why you would maybe want to go that route as a vocalist. The SM58 is the best of the best because it's so versatile. And I love this mic for a number of reasons, but it has a different character to it. And it's meant to be a little bit more Swiss Army knife for more applications. So you'll hear, if I sing into it, well, we grew up wild and we grew up free. Now we grow together like a tall oak tree. Such a difference in that experience. As a vocalist, I can even say it feels like when I'm singing through the SM58, which again, I love and I've sung through a billion times on a ton of shows, you have to work a little bit more to get it to sound the way I want it to as a vocalist. But then when I sing into my Nexadyne, it's exactly what I want it to sound like without having to do anything. And I'm using our MVI right now, which is a single channel interface, and an MVX2U, which is what Mario's using. So we're plugging our wired mics and wireless mics into our computer and getting them into a stream using something called Motive Mix, which we just launched and designed. So this is just a nice little amalgamation of technologies today. Right, Mario?
Yeah, and the beauty of live streaming is that we're all on different parts of the country. So West Coast,
Yes.
Central, and East. So, and we're using all of our interfaces and Motive Mix and whatnot to pull it all together. So it's just, it's just a whole circle.
It's so
and we
fun.
coordinated our shirts too.
And
I
our
know.
shirts.
Look at us. Sure power.
Shure.
Yeah. I know. John, you just have to get like up a little bit higher. So
I know.
that we can all be like-
I'll just go on my tippy toes. Now I can
Perfect.
perfectly match.
Yeah, there we go.
You can see we have
I'm
no
really
fun
not
at
4.5
work
feet
at
tall,
all.
everyone.
Yes. We have such hard jobs. It's very sad. So yeah. Oh my goodness. So while we have John here, if you have any questions, please throw them in the chat because I am monitoring it in real time, which is trippy when I'm seeing myself delayed. But that's also the beauty of live streaming and something that Mario and I deal with all the time because Mario hangs out on our Amazon live streams. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes.
I'm going to switch out my mic and have some
Okay,
more fun
sure.
with some testing here. Hold on. Go for it.
Yeah, so I go live on Amazon and talking about solution-based topics, whether you're a podcaster, streamer, gamer, musician, engineer at any level, musician at any level, we're going to have something for you. I will be live tomorrow for 58 Day, so if you've never watched one of my streams, be sure to follow the Shure store on Amazon so you can be alerted to when I do go live. And I'm always talking about solution-based stuff, how to connect your XLR microphone into your laptop, the best mics for streaming, what are the best headphones for monitoring, whether you're tracking or you're mastering, what are the differences between our products, all that great stuff. But tomorrow's going to be fun because we're going to talk about the SM58, and we have some really cool stuff happening. So
it's Iconic Mic Month, right? All month long.
It was just 55 Day.
It was on Sunday.
Yeah. No, that wasn't yesterday. Day before yesterday.
No.
My days
where
are
am
gone.
I?
I don't know where I'm at.
Oh my God, what is happening? Yes. Okay, so I've switched, you may have noticed, to the Beta 58, which is a supercardioid like the Nexadyne that I've been talking into, but different design, single motor, a term which I never knew, by the way, until Nexadyne came out. I mean, I've known transducer, but motor is very, very fancy. So, switching between these two is going to be a little less elegant because I'm going to have to mute it and unplug it every time, but we'll do a little Beta 58 comparison. Here we go. Well, we grew up wild and we grew up free. Now we grow together like a tall oak tree. Okay, that's Beta 58. Through the magic of live streaming, no one could tell us what to do until you found me and I found you. Now, I got to say, the Beta 58 was my go-to mic for many, many years until I fell in love with the SM86, a very lesser known model of ours that I personally love. But now, I don't know. Now I'm sold. Now I love this microphone so much. So kudos to you, John and Roger, for bringing this beauty to the world.
Our pleasure.
Yeah.
I've always loved the Beta 58, but I've always felt I wanted a little bit more low end out of that product.
Yes, exactly.
It sounds really good if you stay right on it. But if a vocalist kind of strays off, I think the Beta 58 can go kind of thin pretty quickly. It's my personal opinion.
I hear you.
But
I agree.
I know it's been a tool for engineers and artists forever. When we looked at the supercardioid version of the Nexadyne, we clearly did a lot of comparisons to make sure we're not just making the same product again. So we
always good.
So we
yes.
definitely we definitely wanted to kind of revitalize the supercardioid sound, and we did go through a lot of we went through a whole naming study and all this stuff about how are we going to position them and relative to each other, and so that's the fun job of launching a new portfolio, is figuring all that stuff out, along with making sure you make the right product, right? How How are you going to market it and position
Right.
it, and what language are you going to use around it, and all that is the fun job of being a product manager. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do
Yeah.
and how long you've been at Shure?
Right.
geez, I have been at Shure 18 years, uh, and I've done in various product management roles, specifically on microphones, for about 14 of those years. So yeah, been a haul,
Been a
and
wild journey.
yeah, and it's been great to see the evolution of our transducer technologies over the last, you know, almost 2 decades, um, covering headsets, lavaliers, handheld microphones, cartridges, capsules, all that stuff. So I get to stay
Yeah.
close to the engineering team and close to the customer, and making sure we connect the dots between the two.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
And then
know a
Mario
lot
and
of
I get to go out
these.
into the
Yeah.
field and just go ahead.
And
Sorry, go
talk
ahead,
about
Mario.
it and play
Yeah.
with them. I know a lot of these products. It's not like they come out overnight, right? It's not like there's development times and whatnot. And I remember hearing about this type of technology when I first started, and I've been around for 5 years. So I know these products. You guys work on them for quite a while. You live them. So I'm kind of curious as to that feeling of when you realize that you have something after kind of living it for that time, and then getting to that point where you're like, I think we got it. Like, what's that like? It must be. I'm assuming it's probably a bunch of different emotions, but I'm just kind of from your perspective, like, what does that feel like?
Yeah, the most exciting part for me is initial. We do kind of two phases of testing at Shure. We do like an alpha test phase, which is like working product performance wise for the most part, but definitely not manufactured and durable enough to be on the front and center stage of a tour. Um, and then we do like a beta test phase, which is um, definitely off tooled production. It looks the part, it plays the part, and that's more of a validation phase of making sure we're not missing anything in our manufacturing design and stuff like that. The alpha phase is fun because you rely heavily on relationships, because there's a lot of caveats with testing a product that is 3D printed that might explode if you drop it. Like so.
Okay.
So you rely on your trusted relationships to give you the feedback you need, because you are in a dynamic microphone design specifically. You start losing um, a lot of the ability to make changes or choices as you go into production on things,
Right.
and that's like
Mm-hmm.
that's where I think we rely heavily on our experience as a team, our experience as an engineering team, our experience and relationships we have with our customers and our testers, because once we kind of say, all right, this is what we're gonna go literally tool up, like with
Right.
tooling. Um, a dynamic mic, you can't fix it in post. There's no circuit. There's no
Yep.
EQ. There's not even a
Yeah.
low cut filter really that condenser mic you could deploy in and change something. So like
Right.
you kind of have to be pretty committed, and there's risk involved with that. But you have to be really committed to being in a good spot, and see
Yeah.
where that product is going to end up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And but that is exciting when you start getting other people outside of the building getting ears on it,
Right.
and what you think is may sound good in this certain way, and they also react in that way. You're like, oh, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Phew.
Good. We're still,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but also
Deal.
you also learn a lot of stuff too, and you got to go back to the drawing board sometimes. And
Right.
this
Yeah.
project was about 6 or 7 years in
Mm-hmm.
various formations, and it was like um, it was a kind of a collection of a couple different advanced development projects that kind of eventually synthesized together into like, okay, this is how we want to maybe create this new transducer design. We borrowed a lot
Mm-hmm.
from different product lines, a little bit from the Beta portfolio, a little bit from the SM portfolio. A lot of it was new and wrapped and thought of in different ways. and even down to the grill and pot filter design were all new.
Yeah.
Definitely the shock mounting design. So all
Yeah,
that
that's
stuff
actually
pushed
a
our
great segue
Yeah.
because we got a
Cool.
question that came in. Topi is asking, is there a foam inside the mic or is the pop filter implemented differently?
It is different. That was one of my things I observed a lot over the years, which was the foam inside the SM58 can eventually dry out and kind of disintegrate on like really old ones you see like laying in a milk crate at a bar or something. And um, so cleanliness and also
Gross.
frankly the hygiene effect of COVID and how we sanitize products was a big topic. Maybe I'm
Mm.
still like living through that, but yes, the
PTSD.
pop filter
Yeah.
Held you
PTSD on that one.
a
Yeah,
little
the pop
close
filter is
up here.
different. There's an internal cloth that's kind of attached to a cage inside the pop filter, and then that whole cage assembly can get removed and then put back in. And it's a little bit different than in that cloth that's in there actually is hydrophobic. So it's a
Ooh.
hydrophobic coating on there that helps repel
That
moisture
means
and
no
water.
spit or beer getting in
Yeah,
there as
it
much for
definitely
those
helps.
not
It's
knowing that term.
another layer of protection on ingress, shall we say. Um,
That's so cool.
so yeah, it is a
Here's what it
removable
looks like.
assembly. Yep.
Yeah.
And the other reason why we wanted to do that was customization. We knew that this class of product was going to be on tours, and a lot of artists would want to customize their product and their grill and colors and finishes. So we wanted to give
Mm-hmm.
an assembly that could be easily removed, customized, and then put back in.
Mm.
Oh, I see. There's a
Yeah.
little split in the seam, and you can just pull
There's a
that whole
little
thing out.
slit. You can grab a needle nose
Look at
plier and
that.
yank out the
Let's see.
assembly.
I don't know if you can
Yeah.
see that. I can try. Oh yeah, there it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Right there. I'm glad I got my nails did for this adventure. But yeah, there's like a little thing in there that you can grab. That's really neat. I swear I work here. I just didn't realize that was in there.
No, it's a
So
valid question.
Yeah.
kudos to y'all and the team in the mic lab. So yeah, so that's the Ronic technology, and I want to let me see. Let me know. Everybody gets muted. There we go. Now we're not muted. So I just want you to see how cool this is because this technology with illuminated spaghettios is showing you how the two motors can work in real time and how much design and engineering is put into this. It's really something unique and special. So yeah,
Yeah.
I love
It's
those 3D
that's the
exploded views.
thing.
They're so cool.
That's the one thing I keep thinking about too. Is like this year we've come out with just out the gate several new products, but these are all products that have been in the works for years. You know, like in this case, 6 years of testing and creating. Same with our other products. That even though it looks like we come out with new stuff on a monthly cadence, these are products that have been in the works for years, and we have folks that are living these products. So when they do come to market, they are what they are. You know, especially Nexadyne is a perfect example. So
Mm-hmm.
it's
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, and that
Topi
shouldn't be
is
understated actually, because that is one of the nice things about one of the make things that make Shure special is our ability to truly do ground up transducer design. And I think
Right.
there's a
mm-hmm.
lot of companies that understand how to make a microphone, but not really understand why a microphone performs a certain way. And really down to the core physics of that the philosophy around a dynamic microphone and why does it perform a certain way. I think that's truly why it takes sometimes so long, because we not only have to understand it, design it, but then also manufacture it every day reliably, thousands of times, right? And that was a huge effort in this project. Was
Yeah.
really because we have essentially matched motors. We had to really up our process engineering and our manufacturing even more than it had been in the past, because we needed to accomplish this transducer design of Ronic technology. We had to literally invent new ways of manufacturing our consistent products, even more consistent. So that was that's part of definitely a part of the story that should not be overlooked. Um, it's one thing to make a cool microphone a couple times, but it's another thing to do it with this level of quality and reliability that you would expect from our brand, and then do it thousands of times every
Right.
year, every week,
Again and
sometimes.
again.
Yeah.
Yes. We did
for
have
sure.
another question come in of when can we expect other members in the Nexadyne family? And just we did not really get to mention quite in depth that there's a cardioid variant, a super cardioid variant, and also wireless capsules available for the Nexadyne. So you can have it in black. You can also have it in nickel. So if you have a wireless system that currently uses a swappable cap, like what I was using with my SLXD, that's a mouthful, then you can swap over to that cool nickel variant. So when are more coming? We just launched it, Toby. Give us a minute here to enjoy and relish the fact that we have these gorgeous beasts for the voice. So we're always making new and exciting things at Shure, though, so stay tuned. And Doc Rock, shout out to Doc. He is part of the Ecamm fam, and shout out to Ecamm because they are allowing us to stream all three of us together with these cool screen swaps. Although, I'm still not mastering it, but I'll get there. He said that the split is simple, but hella elegant design. So smart. So that split in the cap is something that he didn't know about. And he also said, so many consumers don't understand how hard manufacturing is and wonder why body shapes don't change every update cycle. So he gets it. He gets us.
Yeah.
So thanks, Doc, for tuning in.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. And the Ecamm fam. And everybody else for jumping in here. We got people joining from all over the place, it looks like. And so this is really cool for us. Mario and I, we normally get to talk at each other every month, but having you, John, has been super fun.
Yeah.
So thank you for
My
hopping
pleasure.
on.
Yes. Thank you for
I always
sharing.
love talking microphones, so it's an easy ask.
It's,
And the greatest
I
thing
told
is
them there'd
I
be no
always
pop
learn
quizzes.
stuff. I've
Oh,
learned
yeah.
stuff,
So much stuff.
and that's important for us, Laura. That we learn
it
more
is
stuff.
in our job. In our job, it's very important. And again, if you're just joining and wondering why John's audio doesn't sound as cool as ours, it's not his fault. His computer decided to give up the ghost right before he hopped onto the live stream. So we promise at Shure, we're very passionate about audio, and our live streams are no exception. But when technology fights you, sometimes it wins. So don't judge John and his audio. Just listen to ours instead.
Thank you.
It's beautiful.
This is what it
Nexadyne
sounds like.
audio. This is what it sounds like. So if you want more information about Nexadyne, I pulled up that website, so you can go to Shure.com, type in Nexadyne. There's also a cool spec sheet that you can check out if you're just wanting to know all the ins and outs of these microphones. We got polar pattern, frequency response, all the specs so that you can dive in. If you have any questions, there's a nice support area of the website on Shure.com. And we also have some cool videos on our creators channel. There's going to be more coming. Urio. Oh, that's a new name we haven't had for him yet. Yuri's going to be putting out some content on how do you do that for Nexadyne as well. Urio. And so if you have any questions, pop them in here and maybe we can make a video just for you. And he's, no, not Uriel, Urio, like the Oreos. Okay. All right, everybody. I think we have come to the end of our journey for today. But if you have any questions, again, reach out, pop them in the chat. We're here to answer them for you. Mario and I will be live again next month. And be sure to like and subscribe so you know when we're live and when you know when new videos are coming out. John, thank you so much for joining us. And
Always a
everybody,
pleasure. Thank everyone.
have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next time. Look at that.
Yeah.
Woo.
Take
All
care.
right.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.